I think Jay-Z is the one that said, like, the most ingenious thing we ever did was just never quit.
Wow, dude.
All of our inks essentially eco-friendly, water-based. There's no phthalates or any harmful chemicals in them.
So how did you learn how to do everything then?
You would do stuff for free just to show the person the caliber of what you do.
Dang, you were double dipping, dude. What's up, everybody? We're here today in Chula Vista. I'm here at Squeegee Prints with the owner and founder of Squeegee Prints, Juan Carlos. What's up, man? How's it going, dude?
How you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for joining me today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. So basically, you hit me up, you know, and I was like, this is a really cool business, a really cool concept. I tried getting into this back in the day, but like hearing how you do it now, I'm just like, dude, there was no way that I could have kept up with this business. It's crazy. But anyways, before we get into all this stuff, go to introduce yourself, man.
My name is Juan Carlos, and I started this business, just like you said. Yeah. It's been about 15 years now. It was 15 years this past December, and I started off, I learned from one of my buddies. Actually, he invited me over to his house, and we printed stickers in his garage. Okay. That's how initially all started. Okay. It was like right after high school, and I didn't really know what to do. And I went to college for a couple months, but quickly I dropped out.
Oh, okay.
And my folks, they were really upset because I'm like first generation American, and they wanted me to go to school and get my degree and everything. Plus my cousins and all that, they were all going to prestigious schools. They were all going to some, UC schools, MIT, just different schools where I was like kind of under pressure. But at the same time, school was just never really my thing. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I was kind of just floating around. And when I helped my buddy that day, it was printing flat stock. It was stickers, vinyl stickers. And after helping him out, I was so curious about the process. I was just like, what is this? It was almost like magic,
Yeah.
And I had so many questions about it. And obviously, a lot of those questions, they couldn't get answered because, YouTube was so young.
Yeah.
There was just not a lot of content about screen printing yet. And so it was sort of limited. Eventually, I just went to go work at a factory. And I didn't know at the time, but that factory was really good at screen printing, specifically with water-based inks. Wow. And so that's kind of what inspired me to do what I'm doing today is kind of fulfill my work in that type of...
So it started with stickers.
Yes, correct. It started with stickers.
Wow, man. Yeah,
and I didn't stick around for too long. I mean, like, we still offer stickers today.
Yeah.
And they're solvent printed and everything, just like how a screen print machine would do, but it's all digital.
Okay.
And so it's just a little bit different, but everything that we focus on here is more about like textiles.
Gotcha.
So using really soft quality inks on really high-end garments and having that kind of be a reflection of what we do.
Okay. Well, that's cool, dude. So, but how did you know that you liked it, right? Because you went, like, even just thinking about the transition, right, from stickers to shirts to textiles, right? Like, was there, when you started doing it, the stickers especially, where you're like, you know what, I enjoy making stuff for other people and giving it to them. Like, what was the thought?
Originally, I fell in love with the process. It was just so creative at the time and so different. I guess you can say foreign in a way, that even to this day, I feel like I'm still learning. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, and not saying that I haven't learned anything. I've learned a lot.
15
but
years.
There's always something new, and there's always new challenges or different projects that aren't exactly like the last, because we might be working with different, textiles, different colors, different design shapes and sizes that might require different things. So it keeps you on your toes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's not all one and the same.
Oh, man. So, I mean, so how did you learn how to do everything then? Because there was no YouTube, right? YouTube was in its infancy. So from shirts, I know, like, how did you learn how to do just all this stuff?
So originally, like I said, I went to go work at a factory.
Yeah.
And that's actually where I learned everything. Okay. I started from the very bottom, which was like working in a finishing department, ripping out tags so we can do relabeling, you know.
Oh.
For 2 weeks, I was just ripping out tags.
Wow, dude.
And then, like,
did your hands hurt? Like, how did that go?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. There was, like, little old ladies there, like 70-something years old, ripping tags faster than me, and like
skilled, man. I bet, yeah,
real skill labor. And so it was interesting to see there. That was my first introduction to production.
Okay,
what production looks like.
Yeah,
and what it doesn't look like. Yeah, so it was a good.
How long were you there for?
Place. I was there for about a year.
Oh, just a year.
Mm-hmm. And I was only there for a year, but my intentions were to absorb as much information.
Wow, dude. Yeah.
You know, of the trait that I could.
Yeah.
And then just bring it on home. I knew I wasn't going to stay there forever. I went there with the intention that, like, I'm going to learn how to be a screen printer because I'm going to start a screen printing company.
Yeah. Oh, so you already had that idea in mind. So that's so smart, because I think a lot of people, when they go into a company, they don't want to learn the trade. Right? Like, they're going for money, basically, is what I'm getting at. But it sounds like you were like, you know what? I'm going to learn as much as I possibly can from this company, and then I'm going to take it back and I'm going to do it for myself, right? Because that's exactly what you did, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So after you learned the trade, like, did you come back home and you opened up a shop? Like, what was the story after that?
Originally, I was working at the Family House of Pancakes in Chula Vista as a busboy. And so I had already been saving up my money for a while, but I just didn't know what to do with it. And so I had been saving up my money, and then when I went to go work at the factory, I was basically utilize all my savings and what I was making there to start buying little pieces of equipment. And sometimes they were used, sometimes they were new.
Okay.
But it was all kind of part of the journey to learn, okay, what works, what doesn't, and, you know.
How did you even find those parts? Because Facebook Marketplace wasn't a thing back then. Like,
no,
it wasn't. How did you find it?
It would be through sometimes just knowing people, talking to certain people, distributors or people that sold equipment or this or that, and they would kind of give me a hint like, hey, this person is selling this. I heard this person is selling this. And so little by little, I would go piecing together everything I needed to kind of run the shop.
Okay. How long did it take you to get up and like start your shop then?
I would say about a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Because in screen printing, even though everybody's, you know, just normally sees the press and the screen and the squeegee doing the work, you also need the dryers, you need the conveyor belts, you need the washout booths, the exposure units. So it's all the pieces to make everything happen.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Wow, man. So basically within 2 years, because the first year you learned how to do it, and then you saved the money to buy stuff. Okay, so getting into like actually doing it, right? So within that year of you buying stuff, were you still practicing? Like, what were you?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So it would be like I would go work at the restaurant, and for some of the time I was even working at the restaurant and at the factory. So work in the restaurant in the morning till like about noon, and then go to the factory job at, you know, be there by 2, and then...
Dang, you were double dipping, dude.
yeah, exactly. But it was kind of just, it wasn't a big deal at the time because I was young, and also I was hungry.
Right.
I wanted to learn this stuff. I wanted to bring it back home, and I wanted to, you know, perfect the craft.
Why didn't you just stay at the factory?
There just was not that much opportunity for me to make all the money that I needed to make there, and to kind of fulfill my dream to like open up the shop and everything. It wasn't there. It had to be, I had to kind of come over and do my own thing. So
you had to get a second job in order to afford to do it on your own, basically.
Correct, yeah.
Oh, wow, dude. That shows a lot of resilience and hustle, man. Like, when you have a dream... See, I love this. I think this is a good point right here, because when you have a dream for something, you basically didn't let anything get in your way, whether that was money, whether it was time. Granted, you were younger, but at the same time, you didn't let that stop you, right? You're like, I'm going to learn the trade. I'm going to figure out how to make the money to do it, and then I'm going to do it, right? So like after you learned the trade and all that stuff, next step. So basically it's getting clients, you know, finding people that want to buy your stuff. What were the beginning stages of that? Like, how did you find people to do that for you? Or that wanted to buy from you, basically?
It was tough.
Yeah?
But... like everything, you need to start somewhere.
Right.
You know? So I'll give you a funny little example. When I was at, a lot of times it would just be reaching out to people, talking to them.
Really? Okay.
So in the beginning, I'll give you an example that when I worked at the Family House of Pancakes, one of the regulars was one of the, I'm not sure if it was son or nephew of Lolita's.
Oh, okay.
So he would always come in and he was a regular there at the family house. And I would always talk to him and say, hey, let me print some stuff for Lolita's, and he would always like kind of laugh and be like, yeah, someday, maybe, he wasn't going to let me ruin all his stuff. He knew I had just started, but sort of being persistent and also, but friendly, you know what I mean? I would just build relationships with people. And then eventually throughout time, they would trust me to maybe start their projects.
Yeah.
And it was an interesting time to like kind of.
To do that?
Yeah.
I mean, how did you find out he was the nephew or son of in the Lolitas? Like you talk to him every once in a while or?
The owner of the family house had told me.
Oh, really?
Like, hey, why don't you go talk to him? He's the.
Yeah.
And I think that was just sort of them testing me as well.
Oh, okay,
trying to see like, oh, let's see your chops.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Go try to make a sale and try to convince this guy. And I was up for the challenge, just young and hungry. So I'd go and talk to him. Like I said, they wouldn't let me right away, and some people would. But it's just putting yourself out there.
Dude, that's so cool. I think that's so smart too, because I think that shows how bad you want it, right?
Yeah.
There was a podcast I was listening to the other day, and they were saying each rejection shows you just how bad you actually want to do something, right? Because with a lot of people, when someone says no or something happens and they don't get their desired result, right? They let that stop them. But then that also just shows that they didn't really want it, right? So even though he was like, nah, dude, like, no, not yet, whatever, but you still pushed, right?
Yeah.
And eventually they said, okay, let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
Right?
He also kept tabs on me, and he was like, you are doing better work. This does look pretty good. This starts, maybe this is looking better than our printer that we're using.
Oh,
and eventually, that and using their logic and reason, they eventually were like, all right, let's hit up this guy.
Let's try it out,
Yeah.
How long was the time span in between that?
Shoot, it might have been years,
Oh, really?
But
that long? Okay.
that's what it takes. Sometimes you got to plant the seed and you got to just wait.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that, dude. I think that's something that's also another valuable lesson, because I think a lot of us as people, we want something right away, right? We want instant gratification, especially now these days. Like we want it immediately. I'm the same way. Like I want something, let me just get it now. But what matters is the whole journey, right? Like actually working up to that point. Because once you actually get it and you work so hard to get it, like getting them as a client, you were just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I finally get it. And then you're even putting in more work because you're like, now I can't disappoint them, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. It's good for literally any entrepreneur that is doing this. They should put themselves out there.
Right, right. Did you ever print anything for F-Hop?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but they weren't your first.
Just like last week.
Oh.
No. But no, they were actually one of the first people I printed for.
Oh, really? Okay.
They didn't even ask me to do it. I just did it.
Oh.
And the reason why I did that was because I was already working with them. They were kind of like my family. And so like for Christmas, I did that as a gift for them.
Oh,
but
nice.
It was also a way for me to get my foot in the door and say, hey, look it, like I can print something that's good quality. Like if you ever need anything, hit me up.
Right.
And of course, after that, they would just
So the first one was free?
Yeah, pretty much the first one was free.
Yeah. Do you remember what it looked like?
Yeah, it was sweatshirts, and it was during Christmas, and it just said their classic logo, Family House of Pancakes.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. See, and I love this because you even bringing up another point, right? Doing stuff for free. And that's something I always preach to everyone who watches, everyone who listens, that you do a lot of free work until you can't do it anymore, meaning that you get enough business and you need to make your time worth it, right? Because if someone's hitting you up asking you to do free work, it's like, hey, I would do it, but I have all of these other people who are going to pay me. So I have to prioritize that. But if you do pay me, then we can work something out and I can get you in this mix of everything else, right? And especially because you really want to do this as a business, right? You really wanted to push this forward. And you can't do everything for free forever, right?
No, correct. It's not sustainable.
Right.
Like, I mean, the first rule in business is always like, you got to be profitable, and yes, there is instances where we can do things where, hey, we're not going to make a profit on this, but it's going to help somebody or it's going to do something. And maybe that might build a relationship for the future, like a good foundation for the future. So you they will order from you. And I think I've heard you say on some of your like snippets of your podcast in the past that you would do stuff for free just to show the person like the caliber of what you do.
Right.
And the next time they will hit you up. They will pay for it.
Yep.
Because they'll see the value of it.
Right. A lot of it's like brand awareness too, right? Even if they, like you said, you waited for the Lolitas, you kept saying, hey, and you kept getting better. It shows obviously resilience, but you're getting better with it, and they're going to think of you when they actually need the service, right? I think we think we need to get one for one, right? A lot of people are like, if I do this for you, then I need to get this in return. When in reality, we don't realize that if we do this one thing for the other person, they feel like they have to reciprocate something, right? And as time goes on, they're always going to remember, and yes and no, right? There's other people that won't. But I've experienced myself that the more you put out there, the more you do to help people, it always comes back 10 times. And it might take a while to come back, but once it does, it's like so rewarding. You're like, I planted this seed years ago, and now they're my full-blown client. They're paying me a monthly retainer, right? There's so many things going on, but that's only because you did the work before.
Exactly.
Right?
The groundwork.
The ground to build you, right? It's like brick by brick. You build it up until you get to a point where where you have consistent clients, right? Like where you are now.
Correct.
So after you learned how to do it, you had Lolitas as the client, right? What were the first years like owning your own t-shirt shop?
Difficult. The first 3 years, I want to say, is like the hardest. And usually that goes for like a lot of businesses. Because, the first couple of years, you don't have the clients. They're not coming, all the time, or it's not as consistent to kind of keep you afloat. So it's important to just manage your money correctly those first 3 years, because something can happen and it could put you under.
Yeah.
But, after those first 3 years, it's a lot, I don't want to say it's going to be a lot easier, but it's going to be better. It's going to get better.
Yeah. What were some of those difficulties that you ran into the first 3 years?
Shoot, the first 3 years, I want to say, like, I probably didn't even pay myself. You know what I mean? But not saying that I didn't, like, make a dollar a dime. I just, like, maybe would live off the business a little bit, So, like, I wouldn't pay for gas because, the business is going to pay for the gas. I wouldn't pay for maybe certain food, because, hey, I could write that
business
off.
Expense,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
exactly. But I wasn't paying myself a salary or a check or anything. And then all that money, I would utilize it to propel myself to the next step. Maybe, buy another dryer or another piece of equipment that's going to streamline our production. And so that's where it gets difficult, knowing how to make those sacrifices to put you ahead. Because a lot of times, like you said earlier, everybody wants instant gratification. They want to make money and they want to make profit. And I understand that too from a business side, but there's also a point in time where you got to eat it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Gary Vee says it all the time that you were talking about earlier. Now you got to eat shit. And you got to learn how to be humble for a couple of years. And then
eventually it'll
build
go
yourself up.
Right.
Exactly.
I think we all don't know how much work it takes to run a business and build a business, especially because I think a lot of people don't have the experience yet, right? We're all like either in the beginning stages or middle stages of building a business. But when we hear that how long it takes, people become discouraged, right?
Yeah.
For you, doing it for 15 years now, what do you think has been like the motivation that has kept you pushing? Like, after 3 years, I know you said like those were the roughest parts, but like what's kept you pushing for all of these years?
I want to say the love for the craft has really kept me in the loop. And this is important. It's kind of like a passion thing, If you're doing what you love, you're going to keep doing it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I think Jay-Z is the one that said, like, the most ingenious thing we ever did was just never quit, It's true. Sometimes I look back and I'm like, damn, if I would have quit like 8 years in, I would have never automated, and I never would have got to this next level and this next level and this. So I think just staying on your path and continuing the journey and keeping that passion alive for what you do is crucial.
Dude. That's great because once you quit, you basically give up, right?
Exactly.
And how can you achieve anything if you give up in the first place?
Exactly.
So after the 3 years, I'm going to bring it back a little bit. After the 3 years, you start becoming more profitable, right? So at that point, are clients coming in just by word of mouth? Like, why? How are you getting more people to come and know about your business?
A lot of it was word of mouth. So a lot of the things that helped us grow, I want to say that is the number one way we get business nowadays, word of mouth.
Okay.
You know, a lot of restaurateurs or business owners or this or that, they tell their other friends that are in the same field, this guy's really good and he's really fast. He's gives us a good deal, get a lot of value over here. So word of mouth is to us like the number one.
The way you get clients?
Yeah,
okay.
for sure.
Okay. Do you know how many new clients you usually get? Would you say? Let's say in a quarter. Like, yeah.
Let's just say every week we might have anywhere between 3 to 10 new clients every week. And that's like nowadays. But it's not saying that those clients are going to be ordering every week either. You know what I mean? Some of those clients might come back in 6 months or a year, but we retain about like 90 to 95% of our clients, typically because of, number one, the work we do, the quality of work, and number two, the service. You know, like I'm really big on service. So, you know, if somebody reaches out for a quote, I want to give them that quote within the same day. I don't want to like waste time or dilly-dally. But that really speaks a lot about, you know, how we do things here, because we just like to be organized, methodical, and, you know, be on our toes.
I think that's great, because I think, because I was actually talking to a restaurateur, Funky Fries and Burgers, and the owner, he was telling me the top thing is customer service, right? He was saying that someone can have a bad, like in reference to a restaurant, right? Their food could be mid-par, could be subpar. I mean, like nothing great, but if their customer service is amazing, they're going to get more people to come back. Someone could have amazing food and terrible bad service, terrible customer service, and no one's going to come back to it. So it really just means a lot. And like if you really put in the effort to be someone good at customer service, it really pays off at the end of the day.
You're absolutely right, because I see a lot of print shops that they follow that same formula. They're not even they're not that great of printers, but they have great customer service. And that alone keeps the people coming back. And it doesn't really matter to the client whether it's like subpar or even bad. As long as it's, you know, they got treated right, and you know they got what they wanted or what they ordered.
Because I think about even reference to me, like if I was going to order shirts and someone was like, if they gave me great customer service, of course I would come back, right? But if someone gave me bad or terrible customer service, I'll never come back. But if you have great service and great product, like you're saying,
you have to.
You obviously, right?
You have to.
Especially if someone's growing their brand and their business, they're always going to need more clothing, right? Whether if they have workers or whether they're selling merch, right? Like they're always going to need it. So this is definitely, if you hit both of those points on the head, which sounds like you have, I think like there's no way that you cannot be successful, right? Within
it helps.
So yeah. So going back to the story, after that time frame, let's say you had 8 years, right? Because you mentioned 8 years earlier. Is there a point where you're like, wow, I can actually take a step back and kind of more work on the business except for the business? Have you hit that point yet?
Yes, for sure. I don't think I've hit it. I don't want to say I hit it 100%. I'm about like, I want to say like 90 to 95% there, you know? So pretty much we've found the right people to do the things where, you know, I don't have to do every single step in here anymore, you know? So, you know, Jessica, she's amazing at customer service. She's better than I am at customer service. So good. I want to have somebody there that's going to be better than me at doing that job. Same with even the printing or the reclaiming or any of the other jobs in here. Everyone's kind of handled every section in the shop. There's somebody that's better than me at doing that. More organized or more qualified, I want to say, than I am. But that's okay, because as an entrepreneur, you want somebody to be that's going to take over. You know, at that position to be better than you. You don't want to. You know, you don't want somebody that's going to be worse than you.
That'd be a terrible worker, dude.
Exactly. Because then you're going to be like upset about it. And It's just no way to run a
How do you
business.
find someone? How do you find good workers then? How have you found them?
Yeah, it's tough. You know, a lot of different scenarios. A lot of times we've built up the workers. So what I say here, and I say this all the time, it's like 50% is work ethic. You know, 40% is actually caring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, and then the last, 10% might be skill. And we don't use the skill at every moment of what we're doing. A lot of it's just like work ethic. Hey, this is done. I got to do this, and that. And just knowing that they have to take care of those things. That's a hard thing to teach to somebody.
Yeah.
Sometimes like just feels like, is it in them or not? It's like a weird quality, you know?
Yeah.
So it's hard to teach that, but I can train somebody to do the things correctly and everything. It's just, do they have the right attitude? Do they have the right work ethic to like make it all?
Yeah. Make it happen, basically. Because if they're coachable too, right? Like that's one of the things you look for.
Exactly.
If you can, because this is just a skill. Like this is something that you can teach them, but you can't teach personality. You can't teach work ethic, like you're saying. You can show them how to do stuff, but it's all up to them whether they decide to work hard or not, right?
Exactly. And it's like that saying, you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. It's like kind of the same thing. Like I can show them how to do all these things, but are they going to do it with a good attitude and they're going to have good work ethic? I don't know. Those are things you can't teach. So.
Especially good attitude, man. Like that's one of the, I've experienced it myself. It's like if someone has a good attitude behind it, and they can do anything, especially if they're working for you, right? Like you hire somebody and as long as they have a great attitude towards something, you can, like I would even let things pass, right? Like, because if let's say they make a mistake, right? But they're apologetic, their attitude's in the right place, and you're like, all right, like let's try it again, right? Or let me help you
through it,
right. But then if they have bad attitude or they're rude or something like that, it's just I can't work with you anymore, man.
Exactly.
right.
Exactly.
If anybody was wanting to start a t-shirt shop business, like what are some tips or what are some things that you would give them?
Do it every day.
Okay.
Do it every day. That's like the number one piece of advice I could probably give somebody that wants to get into this, because while it looks really simple, it's just a very particular craft and a very particular thing. And like I said before, everything is custom. So unless you're making the same thing forever, then you can nail down the process, whatever. But the reality is we're doing custom things all the time. Okay. Okay. So
let's say Juan, like I'm a true beginner, right? Like I really wanted to start a t-shirt shop. What's the number one tip you would give me in starting one?
Number one tip I would say is to practice every day.
Okay.
And then also network with as many entrepreneurs and business owners as you can. Try to figure out what issues or problems they have with merchandise that you can help them solve.
Okay. So basically just ask them questions, like become the solution person for them, right?
Yeah, of course.
Right, okay.
You know?
Okay.
So for example, I noticed a lot when I was talking to different businesses that a lot of screen printers were really inconsistent and they might have like delivered the screen printing, but they were really bad at communication.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of times I would say, okay, well, I'm going to communicate with you very thoroughly.
Right.
So we have nothing's left on the table.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To kind of help them solve the problems that they had dealt with other print shops, you know?
I mean, that's smart, I think, because I think a lot of times we get lost in our own business, right? When someone says they're going to pay you for work, one thing that I've learned is especially just adding in those touch points, right? Texting them or messaging them and saying, hey, like, I got this done today. Like, you don't even need to respond to the text or the email. I just wanted to update you to tell you that maybe I got your shirts in today. I'm going to start working on it, and then it'll be done by this day, and I'll continue to update, because the more touch bases that you have with the client, the more chances you get of retaining them as a client, because you're building the trust.
Correct.
Right? Again, if you do that, a lot of other people don't. Like you're saying, right? They might have bad communication, but they'll get the job done. It'll be a good job, but the communication isn't good. And if you're able to beat that, they're going to come to you instead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just feeling like they're not in the blinds the whole time, you know, where they don't know what's going on or where the process in their order they're at or whatever, you know. So just like you said, touching base and having good communication goes a long way.
Yeah, yeah. So basically networking, talking to people, asking questions. And then if at this point in time, like you're obviously been doing this for a long time, right? You're pretty good at making shirts and all of this stuff now. What is your goal with this company? What do you plan on doing ultimately? Do you want to expand into more? Do you want to open up more t-shirt shops, or like, what do you want to do?
My goal really is to get another couple pieces of equipment to streamline my production, so there is no bottlenecks left in what I do. You know what I mean? And really, that's just going to mean growing a little bit more than where we're at right now.
Yeah.
And, you know, putting those last pieces in place so everything runs as smooth as possible.
Okay.
And then also delegating the last couple pieces or last positions that I'm covering.
Okay.
You know? So really, I'm not really here anymore. That's like my the ultimate goal.
Right.
You know? And I feel like that's every entrepreneur and like restaurateur, everything, like the goal. And part of it is like a sense of freedom to know that you can step away from this business and it's still gonna make you money and you don't have to worry about a thing. And of course, there's always gonna be moments where, you know, the business owner has to come back and make sure everything's right and this and that. It doesn't mean you could go away forever. But that little sense of freedom of being able to say, okay, I could go away for a week. Everything's in place. So, you know, the people that are there are going to take care of the things that need to happen. And you don't have to be, you know,
have to worry about
at the business, handling everything and making sure everything is fine.
Okay. When you mention other pieces of equipment, what else do you want to do? Because let's talk about that a little bit. What kind of printing do you do, and like what kind of things do you offer?
Okay. Yeah, so we specialize in screen printing with water-based and discharge inks. And what that means is we don't really print like other shops that traditionally print with like plastic type inks. And those are the kind of things that sometimes you feel them on the garments when you're wearing. It feels very thick. And sometimes when the sun hits it, it gets even hot. It makes you sweat and stuff. So we don't print like that. All of our inks, essentially eco-friendly, water-based. There's no phthalates or any harmful chemicals in them. But also the level of quality that these inks have are just second to none.
Okay.
That's our specialty.
Okay, very cool.
We also offer headwear, embroidery, and a couple other things too. That's kind of our specialty. Okay.
I think that's really cool. I think because I've had shirts where you have something cool printed on the front, right? And I was like, oh man, I got off Amazon, right? This is a cool little design. I put it on, and the moment I put it on, because I sweat easily, starts sticking to me, right? And then, you know, it's sunny here. We go around, we walk around. I sweat easily. It'll stick to my back too. And before you know, it's just like, man, I don't like even wearing this shirt anymore, just because of how it makes you feel.
Exactly.
Right? So, but it sounds like you invest in higher garments, so you kind of avoid those things too, right?
Correct. And we don't use like certain glues on the palette, for example, that are going to kind of create those types of feelings on the shirt.
Yeah.
You know, we use like a water-based adhesive that, you know, no one would ever be able to tell that, you know, there was a glue inside of there. And so this is another thing, you know, we kind of do, and that's kind of what sets us apart. Is we make the shirts not only look really good, we make them feel really good.
That's good, man. Yeah. That's really good. I think that's something people overlook, because you just get a shirt sometimes for, like, for example, like a business, you know, you're getting it for your workers. You're just getting that so that everyone's branded, everybody looks the same, more of like a cohesive look on top of it. You don't really think about how it's going to feel for them. You're just like, whatever, right? But it's good to know that you guys actually take that into consideration. So if a business owner comes to you, they don't even have to worry about that. It's already going to feel good and look good.
Exactly.
So, man, that's awesome. Before we end today's podcast, I have fire questions I want to ask you.
Yeah.
Three fire questions. You ready?
Got it.
Okay. Number one, man, Where is your favorite place to eat?
That's a tough one.
Yeah, man. But I'm a partial foodie, so you know I gotta ask that question.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say Bon Thai.
Bon Thai.
Yeah, I love Thai food.
What's your favorite dish from there?
That's another tough one.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go ahead and say massaman curry.
Massaman curry is good, dude.
Nobody ever does it right anywhere I go except
Bantan?
Bon Thai. Yeah.
Bon Thai. Man, I
So good.
actually haven't been there yet. I heard about it a lot because I eat a lot of Thai food. I have my favorites, but Bon Thai is the one in University, right? University Heights?
Correct.
Yeah.
On it's not actually Park.
On Park, you're right. Okay, over there. Yeah, I haven't.
But they have 2 locations if I'm not mistaken.
You know
But
what the
yeah,
other one
that's
is?
the more popular one.
Oh, okay.
The other one I'm not too sure, honestly. I'm only going to one on Park.
Okay. Do you have a favorite sport?
I don't, but I like skateboarding a lot. That's
Do you?
kind of like, I guess you could call that a sport now. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's in the Olympics.
Oh, is it now?
Yeah, it's
Dude, I thought it would have been in there a long time ago.
No, this past 2020 was the first
time?
one.
Summer
Yeah.
Olympics?
Yeah, it was the ones in Japan. I'm not. I could be butchering. It could be 2021. I'm not even too sure. But yeah,
Okay. Who's your favorite skateboarder?
gonna just go ahead and say Tony Hawk.
Tony. Of course you can say Tony Hawk. What's your favorite city?
Favorite city? I'm gonna go ahead and say Guadalajara.
Guadalajara, huh?
Yeah, I love
Is it
that
those
place.
built? Well, I don't know, because I've been there. Have I been there? No, I've been in Guanajuato.
Oh,
Mix those up
yeah.
all the time.
That place is beautiful too.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. The culture and stuff is on point over there too. So it was really
Yep.
cool. Well, man, thank you for being on today's episode. Where can everybody find you and how can they connect with you?
You can find us on Instagram at Squeegee Prints.
Okay.
Or if you guys want to reach out to get a quote or place an order, you guys can visit us at squeegeeprints.com. And you'll have a request a quote on the very first page.
Okay, very cool. Make sure you guys check out Juan Carlos. Well, you don't come in. You request a quote, right? Because on your thing it says don't come in. No walk-ins. Yeah. So people come in, hit them up on either DM or hit them up on the website. Get a quote. They got some great stuff. I got some clothes I'm gonna be wearing from Juan, so it's gonna be awesome, man. But thank you, dude. Thanks for being on today's episode.
Thank
Appreciate
you so
it.
much. I appreciate it, Vince.
Thanks, man.
And don't forget, be marvelous.